Saw Marley come off last week. How's he going?
Yeah, I mean, he came back on, so I always assume post-game that's a good sign, but he's had some scans and he's still very sore today, so he won't play this week. You know, we don't think it's too serious, but I suspect he's going to miss a couple of weeks. Definitely won't play this week, and then, yeah, I think he'll struggle to come up the week after, but then after that 2 weeks, we'll be able to give a return date to play, but you know, I suspect at the moment somewhere around that 3-week mark.
We're starting with the injured players, Sam Wright, Jed Anderson, Trent Dumont, where are they at?
Yeah, so they're all, as of today, available to play. And provided they get through training today, they'll all be named in our squad tonight. So that's a big boost for us to get those guys back. I really miss Jed Anderson's presence in the midfield and his pressure and his hardness. So we'll have a decision to make as to what the final 22 will look like, but certainly right in to replace Marley Williams and you know, Anderson, Dumont bolsters our midfield a little bit, and then we'll just, the makeup of that final 22 will whittle down from the 26 we named tonight.
Any concern that it's been so long between games for Jed?
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm conscious of last year where he had a setback in the pre-season. We brought him straight in for round one on the back of a limited prep. So he's, as a coach, it gives you confidence that he's done it before.
Say on the back of last week, and I guess his history, do you test James Sicily's temperament this week?
Oh, well, we try and test everyone's temperament. I mean, he's become an outstanding player. So, you know, as is often the case, you look across the first 2 rounds of footy, the good players tend to get targeted. If he wasn't a good player, we wouldn't be too worried about him. But, you know, I'm always a little bit conscious of poking the bear. You know, if you sometimes the really good players and the you know, when you try and come out and antagonise them, they can seek retribution on the scoreboard. So, you know, we've got to make sure that if we're the aggressors, we're the ones in control. And you know, we can't control what the opposition do, but we can certainly control the way we go about it.
Have you had any clarification from the AFL about prohibited contact this week?
Yeah, we have. Only to say that the rule is the rule, and prohibited contact is a pretty clear rule. So if you push your elbow into someone's back with a level of force, then it's a free kick. And the AFL have clarified that I think the examples used during the week have been the free kicks against Scott Lycett and the free kick against Sicily. The AFL have said they were correct. So they're clearly saying to us that that level of force constitutes a free kick. Now, in my view, I think that's a very, very low bar to set if that's going to be the level of force. But what has been reiterated is that if there are repeat prohibited contacts or contacts with the elbow, and the umpire warns you, that the level of force is a lower bar to step over. So if you repeatedly do it, the umpire warns you, and you continue to do it, then the umpire will pay a free kick. Now the problem is going to be if the cameras catch that and it looks like it's a pretty minor thing, well, we can only assume that there's been a warning already given. But our players are, you know, we've spoken to them about just the fact that the AFL are hot on it. So, you know, play to the system, play to the rules that have been put in front of us.
Is that what you signed up for in your last competition committee meeting? Is that what you left thinking was going to be the case?
Look, I left thinking that the AFL are going to stamp all this push and shove. You know, certainly clenched fists are going to be out, but even, and it was clarified during the week that even a forceful push with an open hand constitutes a free kick now. So the simple message to our players is don't do it, but there has to be an element of force in it, and we still play a pretty brutal contact game. But what I don't think the AFL, or I know the AFL don't want to see in the game, is this constant push and shove off the ball that's just not part of the game. So, you know, but I think that in my view, the Sicily Lycett, I mean, if that's a forceful blow, then that's a very low bar that we've set.
Is it mostly about the push and shove off the ball? Where does the fend off sit in that? Obviously, Ben Cunnington's great in that area. What's your understanding on that?
No, I think that's very different. I mean, it's like a tackle. I mean, you can tackle as hard as you like, provided you don't, you know, sling the player into the ground. But yeah, I think in play it's very different. But I certainly agree with the stamping out a lot of the off the ball niggle that goes on, because it's just not a great look for the game. But that being said, we do play a pretty combative sport, and players' emotions are going to get the better of them at times. And I think, yeah, as I said, if the Sicily and Lysette examples are going to be paid every week, then players aren't going to touch each other off the ball.
Now,
Brad.
sorry, you go.
The 666 rule, you talked about centre bounces a lot after the weekend's game. I know you advocated for the rule, but did you expect it to have such an impact?
Yeah, I did expect it to have an impact. I just didn't expect it to have such a negative impact on us.
Are you sorry you advocated for that rule?
Oh, look, I'm sorry. I've been sorry for the last fortnight about it, but for the big picture of the game, I'm really excited about it. I think that footy looks great. The objective of the rule was to make the game look better without the fans really noticing exactly why. Now, the 666 has ramifications not just from centre bounce scores, but from rebound 50s as well. So the game is more spread out than it's ever been, and I think that's a good thing for AFL footy. For North Melbourne's sake, we've got to adjust quicker than we have so far in the first 2 rounds.
What's the biggest thing you've got to fix and quickly?
To narrow it down to one thing would be a challenge, because look, there were some really good signs on the weekend. Like we controlled the game on the scoreboard for the majority of the game. You know, I think that there are elements of the game that we'd like to improve. But if we won that game by 20 points, we'd be talking about a whole lot of the positives. So we think that it's only a small tweak in a couple of areas that will impact everything else, and those small tweaks will compound in a big way if we get them right.
Still searching for that foil for Ben Brown. Does Tom Campbell get another crack this week?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a combination of things. The 666, a lot of teams using 2 rucks. You know, we prefer Ben Brown forward than ruck. You know, that's for pretty obvious reasons. So yeah, we'll keep looking at that. But Mason Wood's still in our thinking. Well, I mean, Mason Wood at his best is in our best 22. But then we've got to solve the ruck puzzle and the forward structure puzzle. So, you know, that's at the moment. We thought Tom played his role pretty well on the weekend, given it was his first opportunity at it. And it certainly allowed Goldie to play a more influential role as well. So we'll keep working through that, but I don't think we're too different from any other team.
So are you ruling out Wood there with those comments? Because like, Hawthorn doesn't seem to have an overly tall backline now, the way they've been going this year. Would Wood potentially stretch them and give you an advantage there?
Yeah, no, as I said, Wood's in our thinking. It's whether it's Wood and Campbell that's the question. So Mason will get named in our squad tonight.
Paul Ahern, I know I asked you about this last week and you didn't want to sort of speak too much about it, but the fans, they keep talking about it, they want to know. Can you give any sort of insight? Is there anything you can offer? Yeah, like Paul, again, will be in our squad. So, I mean, he's you know, you make decisions based on, and like every team, you get to the last position of the team, and it's a strong, vigorous debate as to what we need. Look, and Paul had a terrific season last year. He had a good pre-season. He's fitter than he's ever been. So he'll play a big part in our campaign in 2019. But we've got to keep, with 7 new faces in our team, we're trying to work out what the best mix is right at the moment. And our job is to pick the team we think is going to get the job done on the weekend. But I can tell you from the bigger picture, Paul Ahern's certainly in it, and he's going to play an influential part in 2019. It's just a matter of when, certainly not if. Do you stick with Jai Simpkin? Does he need a spell in the VFL, or is he going to sort of push him through a bit?
No, Jai's had a fantastic pre-season. He's really fit. You know, his prep's been fantastic. So, you know, the challenge for him is that, you know, we often say good preparation leads to good performance, but that's not necessarily in a straight line. You know, form's not necessarily linear, but I know that Jai's working extremely hard, and he had, you know, I showed him a dozen examples where he did exactly what we wanted him to do. The ball bounces the wrong way, he gets caught out of position. I mean, Jai could have had a really, really good game on the weekend, but sometimes it's a lot of a small forward. You know, you've got to put yourself in the position all the time, and sometimes you can just be unlucky on the day, and I'm really confident it's going to turn for Jai really soon.
There's a suggestion there's a few sick boys down here this week. Was that right?
We had a few last week leading into the Brisbane game, but no, as you can see, they're all out there. So no, there's been 1 or 2 guys who have had a few symptoms, but no, certainly no epidemic.